Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, Dawson ASMR. Today we're going to be looking at some television, film, and book recommendations that I have for Pride Month. June is of course Pride Month, and I think now more than ever it's very important to celebrate Pride and to celebrate not only where we came from as a queer community, but also what we're still fighting for in 2026. Things should be different, and we just have to keep fighting for it. So, and part of that is art and media, and film and television and books are part of that art category. So just relax, sit back, maybe fall asleep to this, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to give you 10 recommendations from every category. So let's start out with television shows. Everything on these lists I had to just compile together, and I really had to narrow down some things and just really be choosy. So in no particular order, the first show I have to recommend to you is Overcompensating. This can be streamed on Prime Video, and this follows Benny, who is a freshman at college, and he has yet to come to terms with being gay. And he meets his soon-to-be best friend Carmen, and together they sort of navigate the highs and lows of college life. And it is hilarious. It is genuinely funny to be written by a group of TikTok famous people. It really surprised me. So if you're looking for sort of that on the tongue, tongue-in-cheek, sometimes blatantly in your face, crude comedy that really just hits you right when it needs to, this is the show. So then the second show I have to tell you is Love, Victor. Now, this can be streamed on Hulu, and this, if you do not already know, is a not sequel, but a companion piece to Love, Simon, the really big coming-of-age film that had Nick Robinson in it. Love, Victor is a companion piece to that, and this has Victor, who is, I believe he's a junior in high school, and he moves to Creekwood, and he is also dealing with his sexuality and being gay, and maybe being bi, and just kind of coming to terms with who he is, while also living in a family who doesn't necessarily always accept that. So whereas Love, Simon, I think, is the very bright, positive outlook on what it is to coming out, Love, Victor has some challenges to it. A little bit more of a mature theme there, but it's still a lot of fun. It's very fun. I think there are 3 seasons, and my favorite guy, Mason Gooding, is in every single episode, so I won. Then the third show, Heartstopper. I can't make a video about LGBT television shows and not talk about Heartstopper, which, for all intents and purposes, is the fluffiest story you're going to get when it comes to LGBT representation, where you have not only the main leads who are a gay boy and a bisexual boy, but you also have trans representation, you have lesbian representation, so I believe even non-binary representation, which was really nice. But this is sort of your run-of-the-mill, very fluffy. This is, and I've seen people complain about that there's like no real issues with this, apart from sort of the bare bones of eating disorders and anxiety. But I think if straight people have gotten to have fluffy shows like that in movies for decades, why can't some people in the LGBT community? So yeah. And then we have, this is really surprising, but it's really fun, it's really beautiful. We have Hacks. Now, Hacks is a show that isn't necessarily a queer show, but it's representative of a lot of different facets of the LGBT community. And it follows, well, of course, it follows Mother, right? Who is sort of, I'll tell you like this because I've watched it, so I have to like be really careful about what I say and not spoil it. It's a comedian who, for all intents and purposes in her community, has sort of just like seen it all, and she's looking to refresh her vibe, refresh her set, her look, and there is another woman who is trying to continue to make it big in Hollywood, and she comes on as her writer, and the whole show is basically their dynamic, you know, back and forth, and it's hilarious. It is so much fun. Our lead is a bisexual woman, and there's just so much representation throughout the show, with them hiring actual queer actors, and I have no problem with straight people playing roles like that, but it's just nice to see that spot given to someone who can have a lived experience in playing that role. So then we have, sort of stepping away from the comedy, we have Fellow Travelers. Now, this is, for me, probably the most gut-wrenching thing I'm going to talk to you about. So it stars Matt Bomer and Jonathan Bailey, and of course we all know Jonathan Bailey from Wicked. But this is two young men in World War II in America, and if you guys don't know, World War II era of, you know, America, the 40s, 30s, you know, all of it, 50s even, being gay was not okay, and you were persecuted and prosecuted a lot of times. So we have, you know, a GI who is now working in the government, and we have a boy who is sort of just figuring himself out, you know, and it's a romance, but it's also a tragedy, and it spans many decades. So when you watch Oppenheimer, right, and there's a scene where Oppenheimer tells one of the men who's coming to his team, and he says, "So you're a fellow traveler." Well, that's what that meant. So, yeah. Then I want to talk to you about Will and Grace. Do I need to say anything? My tablet is going to sleep. About Will and Grace. This is, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you about the show that sort of really pushed queer representation into the 21st century. This came out in '98, and I mean, 8 seasons, massive show, but it's a comedy. I mean, you have Deborah Messing, you have Eric McCormick, you have Sean Hayes, who, of course, is iconic, Megan Mullally, who, as Karen, is the best thing that ever happened to television sitcoms. But this is essentially two best friends. Will's a lawyer, Grace is, I want to say, an interior designer. It's been quite a while since I saw it, but it's just a group of friends who are just existing together, and it's really, really fun. Won quite a few Emmys. Like, it's really good. So then we have to talk about Special. Special can be streamed on Netflix, and just for the record, I'll always have the label on it, but Heartstopper can be streamed on Netflix. Hacked can be streamed on HBO. Fellow Travelers, I believe you have to rent, or it's on Paramount, one of the two. Special is a show that was created and starred in by Ryan O'Connell, who is a gay man who lives with cerebral palsy. And this is a really fun show. This is a really emotional show. It essentially is a living memoir of O'Connell's life with living with cerebral palsy and trying to fit in with the gay community, because I don't have to tell anybody, if it's very common, especially in the Hollywood districts, if you don't look a certain way and act a certain way, you're not fitting in, and you're sort of an outcast. and he kind of comes to terms with that and try to find his own people in his own community. And Ryan O'Connell is hilarious. His books are really nice too. If you haven't read them, he has a new one coming out actually. But yeah, just so great. Then we have one. This is a remake actually of a classic sitcom, but we have One Day at a Time. Now, this is for me probably my favorite sitcom. This follows a Puerto Rican family who are living in America, and you have Rita Moreno playing her grandmother, Justina Machado playing the mother, and it's sort of this family dynamic where you have a single mom, the overlooming grandmother, and the kids who are all just coming to terms with life, growing up, being, Puerto Rican in a country that doesn't always accept the fact that everyone belongs, and there's representation of lesbian, and there's with is it a spoiler to say it's the daughter that she's coming to terms with her sexuality? Nah, but it's sort of the family grasping the idea of somebody breaking outside the mold, sort of that it's hard enough being a person of color in America, but then to also be gay on top of that is so. But it's hilarious, very heartwarming. I binged the first 3 seasons, and then the 4th one came out, and I had to just, So, I believe it's on Netflix still, but I'm not sure. It's been a while. Then we have The Fosters. I would be a bad person if I talked about LGBT television and I didn't mention the most problematic show on this list, and that it's The Fosters. Now, The Fosters follows a gay couple. Their names, they're right there. Steph and it's on the tip of my tongue. I'll think of it later. But it's a lesbian couple who have adopted a few children, and they are fostering 2 new ones, and Jude and Callie. And there is just, it's a little problematic. I won't tell you what it is, but you'll see it when you watch it. But the heart of it is really, really beautiful. This was on Freeform, formerly ABC Family, and for that to sort of just be accepted and to have such a huge fan base, and to have what was called the Family Channel, including a family that was sort of a mixed bag like that, where you have people from different walks of life. The kids were different races, and you had gay parents, and you had children who were even coming to terms with their sexuality, and it was just beautiful, beautiful. And I have not watched the spinoff Good Trouble, because I stopped watching the show after it got a little bit too much for me with the problematic. I'm like, I want to go back to the heart of it, go back to the fun of the family and stuff. So, whatever. And the last one I have to tell you, 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲, I can't leave him out when it comes to these types of movies. So, in these shows, we need to talk about We Are Who We Are, which is on HBO. This is a show that I don't quite know how to describe, just that it is following a group of kids who, I believe they're all high schoolers, who live on a military base in France, and they're American military who's stationed in France, and there is so much different representation with sexuality and religion, and I just have to say, not a single person in this show is normal. And I don't mean because of if they're gay or not. I mean they psychologically need lobotomies. It's just a very weird show. But what I love about it is the representation of what it felt like to be weird growing up. You have someone coming to terms with being trans. You have someone not even really coming to terms with it, just deciding that they don't need a mold to fit who they are. If they like boys, they like girls, doesn't matter. And then you have, this topic of war and whether it's important, and how it affects the youth and just different things. And it's a really well done show. Watch it all the first time. When I rewatch it, I'll probably just watch the first 4 episodes. After that, it kind of goes downhill for me. I mean, that's just personally for me. That's it. But yeah. So those are the 10 TV shows I had to talk to you about. Now we've got to go through the movies. I've got to talk to you about the movies. So first up, I can't do a video about LGBT films without talking about Moonlight. Moonlight is a film that is everything you would look for in a movie when it comes to gay representation. So this follows Chiron, who is, well, essentially we see him through multiple walks of life, childhood, teenagers, as an adult, and it's sort of just his exploration of himself. I mean, genuinely, that's what it is, and it's just so beautiful. The filmmaking is gorgeous, which I'm not going to hark on filmmaking for these movies. I'm just really talking about the topic of what it's about, being queer. But it's so subtle yet so beautiful. I see people really want to say there's no substance to it, but something as little as a handshake is so important to this, and that's all I'll say about that. So very beautiful, very well done. Please watch Moonlight. So then we need to talk about, I talked about Love Victor. Let's talk about Love Simon. Love Simon is the film that came first. This has Nick Robinson. It has Jennifer Garner, Josh Duhamel. This is really kind of along the same lines as Heartstopper. It's very fluffy. However, I'm going to go on record as saying this movie, has the best coming out scene. And I won't spoil it for you, but I will say I'm gonna sort of borrow from it to any viewers who are coming to terms with themselves or kind of exploring who they are. If you have been holding your breath, you get to exhale. And that's all I'll say about that. Because this movie is beautiful, it's gorgeous, it's funny, I would put it in the same category as coming of age stories like Breakfast Club, you know? It really just punches you. So, very gorgeous. Yeah. So then we're going to talk about bottoms. And no, YouTube, this is not something you need to censor. We're talking about Bottoms the film. This is a very fun, laugh out loud, I would say a lesbian comedy, honestly. This is so freaking funny. This has, I forget her name. I'm gonna look it up real quick because I feel like she needs her credit. Yeah, Rachel Sennett. And then we have 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 as the 2 leads, who are trying to learn to talk to girls and meet girls, and they decide to create a fight club in school. It is hilarious. It doesn't have a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes for an accident. Okay, this is really done well. You have Nicholas 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 playing this sort of beefy, jockey footballer, and it's really funny considering he has been so outspoken about supporting the LGBT community. To see him playing someone like that is just hilarious. It's really funny. But I just absolutely adore this movie. So then we need to talk about a movie that sort of set the precedent for letting queer people be strange, and that's the Rocky Horror Picture Show. The Rocky Horror Show, I've been around a little bit before this movie came out, absolutely, I believe, but the movie with Tim Curry just really opened up the door. I remember being a kid and finding out about this movie and being like, holy what? Like, understanding drag culture and understanding how music affects who you are, you know? This is, of course, if we don't all already know, it's the story of Brad and Janet, who are recently engaged, and they're on their way to thank a colleague for setting them up together. And they end up in a storm and come across a castle with Dr. Frankenfurter. It's very B-movie, very reminiscent of classic sci-fi, like, the War of the Worlds, and really, Tarantula, and Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, or whatever it's called. Very reminiscent of all that. So, yeah. A lot of fun. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. It's very, very strange. But you've got to watch it at least once, I think. Yeah. Then we have a movie, which I'm going to, I hope the poster can be used without being censored. I'm going to tell you outright, this is a movie that, you need to be warned, is very graphic, no censorship, and it's a horror movie. This is called Swallowed, and this follows Cooper Koch, who you might recognize from the Monster show, the Erica Menendez show. This was his first feature, and this is a horror movie thriller about a guy who he's on his way going to be doing adult films, and his best friend wants to give him one last hurrah, and they end up having their fate caught up in the fate of DRUG smugglers, and it is just nasty. It also blends sort of every element that you want in horror. There's the horror, there's the thriller aspect, it's sexy at times, and you have, of course, the Scream King himself from the original Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge, coming back. So it's just a terrific movie. If you have not watched it, I absolutely recommend it. It may be a little bit difficult to find. I think you may have to rent it or something. It's not even on DVD. I'd kill to have it on DVD, but then the next film I have to talk to you about is All of Us Strangers, and this is, I'm gonna take myself out back like Old Yeller for saying this. It is a meditation on grief. Hate saying that because I'm sick of grief movies. I'm done grieving, but this movie really does it well. This, I've only seen it the one time because it broke me into a million pieces, so I can't even remember the names of the characters, but you have Andrew Scott, who is playing a young man who lives in an apartment building, and he comes across Paul Mescal's character, and they have a romance. And that's all I'm going to tell you, because if I tell you anything else, it's going to ruin everything. So just know that it is a heartbreaking love story that just really hits the mark every time. So then another instance where I can't do a queer media video and not mention Call Me By Your Name. There's a lot of problematic things people are going to talk about with this movie. They're going to say it's not good representation, that it's a certain topic that we want to talk about. I don't think this is a love story. And that's where people go wrong. If you go into Call Me By Your Name expecting a romance, you're going to really be... To me, what Call Me By Your Name is, it's an expression of something I think all of us who are young and gay sort of understand. Being young, understanding that, yeah, you like boys as much as you like girls, or, vice versa. And then realizing that you have a crush on somebody who's much older. And how that doesn't work out. So, this is, of course, 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲, who is living with his parents, and they're a boarding house, and Oliver is a boarder who's a college student who comes to getting his master's degree, and he comes to board with them for the summer, and he and 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 sort of strike up a kindle of something, and yeah, and they make it sexy. Luke Guadagnino does, the director. There's elements where you feel bad for 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲, and you can see him falling for Oliver, but at the end of the day, this is a summer fling, putting it in the back seat. And I think if you look at it like that, you're going to really enjoy the film. So, plus it's just beautiful to look at. The film is gorgeous. So, sorry, I just have to say that about this one. Then we have sort of the opposite of that, where we have, for me, my favorite queer rom-com. And it is Red, White, and Royal Blue. Now, this has Nicholas Galitzine, who I mentioned in Bottoms. This has, I almost called him Alexander Claremont Diaz because that's his name, but it's Taylor Zakhar Perez is the actor. And they're playing the Prince of Wales and the first son of America, respectively. And they are enemies to lovers story together. And I think that is just so much fun. It's so beautiful. It's funny. And oh my god, the lines in this, Casey McQuiston, who wrote the book, they deserve something, a medal or something. I don't know what you give someone like that who wrote a romance that just changed your life. But this is beautiful. Beautiful. So then we have the movie Beach Rats. Beach Rats is a movie that, for me, first of all, is a mixture of heart and something very, very sexy. So, this has Harris Dickinson, who you might know from Baby Girl. He was in Triangle of Sadness. But this is a movie that sees a young man who is sort of on the edge of life right before adulthood kicks in. Like, you're done with high school, but you're just sort of making do until something comes up and your life can change. And he uses his sexuality, the exploration of it, to sort of get by. And we see him with anonymous hookup culture. We see him sort of dabbling in the DRUG culture, and on top of the fact that his father is dying, and it's just really emotional, really toiling. And I don't know, I just really enjoy it. I watch it all the time. I think it's one of the most beautiful films that I've seen, and it's just done really well. So, Beach Rats. And then the last movie, a classic, I have to talk about it, but I'm a cheerleader. Yeah. And there are tons of movies, by the way, than these 10. If you go to my letterbox, which is always down below in the description, I have a list. It's called The Code is Queer. I love that. I came up with that. And it's just all the movies that I love that are LGBT represented in one way or another. So, but I'm a Cheerleader is the story of a young girl who is a cheerleader, and she is I don't even think she understands that she's gay, but her parents put her in conversion camp anyway, and there she learns more about herself than she ever could have without it. And this, of course, is not like a movie that says yay conversion therapy, because like that should be banned, but it's sort of just a tale of community and found family. Your people won't accept you where you come from, find your own family. That's what I did. And this movie really talks about that, and really gets into the nitty-gritty, while also being so lighthearted that you're laughing till you have tears in your eyes. So, I love it. It's so good. RuPaul, isn't it? Very funnily, dressed as like the butchest sort of like coach of a camp, like the whistle and the short shorts and the goatee. It's very funny. So, but yeah, so those are the movies I would recommend to you. Now the books, and I'm sorry this video is so long, but books, we have 10 that I think for me personally really shaped me as who I am. So first we have History's All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. This book I have read one time. This book took me 3 months to read because I was crying so much. This follows a young man, and sorry I don't remember the names, and his boyfriend, censorships on YouTube, unalives himself, and he's sort of really just dealing with that. That's all it is. And he's meeting somebody else, and it's this idea of, are you allowed to move on when you're grieving? And to be that young, you know? I mean, everyone comes and goes. I've had many partners and boyfriends and girlfriends, and they just, you know, you're a teenager. You're trying to figure yourself out, and that's supposed to be that. It's supposed to be easy, you know, to just, okay, breaking up. Let's date somebody else and see what happens. But to be that young and have to grieve like that, it's like, are you allowed to move on? Is that feeling? So, beautiful story. Then I have Loveless, and this is by the same author who did Heartstopper, of course. And this is the story of, really I can sum it up by just saying, a girl who is asexual going to college her first year. So we have some asexual representation. You know, I feel like a lot of queer media more focuses on gay, lesbian, and trans, but there are a lot of other aspects of the queer community. So, yeah, that's really, I can sum that up. It's a really, really nice book. The writing style of this is very fun. It's very easy, which really fits the kind of, I guess, the mold of what, you know, Heartstopper is the same way. But this has more serious topics than Heartstopper. So, then we have a book that I was really surprised by and really enjoyed. It's called Thanks a Lot Universe. Now, this book is a middle grade, I actually believe. But so you're not going to have like a huge aspect of being gay. But it follows a boy who, in Canada, in Halifax, very funny, I love Halifax. My boyfriend's family is from there. So, he is put into the child services, I guess is how you'd say. He's put into the foster care system after his mother ends up taking one too many Tylenol, and I have to be careful with censors. Freaking hate it. And he's sort of just trying to make friends while being pushed into an environment he doesn't understand, doesn't know, and realizing that there are things about himself that he also doesn't understand completely. But it's a really solid book. It's very beautiful. If you have the chance to read it, read it. There's a sequel that I've read. It's pretty good too. I like the writing style, so it's very nice. And then we have, this is a twofer. So there's technically 11 books, but I'm putting them as the same slot. We have Casey McQuiston, who wrote Red, White, Royal Blue. Y'all need to read their other two adult romances, The Pairing and One Last Stop. Okay, One Last Stop came after Red, White, Royal Blue. And this is the story of a girl who is going to college in New York, and she takes the subway, and one day she meets another young woman on there who is like right up her alley. She's just head over heels, and she realizes that the girl is a ghost who can't leave the train. So good. So good. I did not think I was going to like this as much because, I mean, we're being honest, as someone who's gay, I'm drawn to more gay stories. I can relate more to the guy aspect of it. But this really was beautiful, really surprised me. Really gorgeous storytelling. And I just really liked it overall. There's a lot of drag representation, and there is, I think even, yeah, there's like fat representation too, which is really cool. But love it, absolutely love it. And then The Pairing is two people who, I'll have to sum it up like this because it's a really beautiful story. It's two people who have broken up, but they had already booked a non-refundable tour of Europe, a food tour. And now they have to go on it together. So it's sort of the second chance romance. And this has non-binary representation, which is amazing, because Casey McQuiston themselves is non-binary. And this is just a terrific story. Very sexy, very much sexier than Red, White, Royal Blue, I'll tell you that. And a little bit of spice dabbled in there. But it is just so much fun. It felt like being in the summer breeze on a beach. It felt like being in like, France or something. It felt like Call Me by Your Name even. It felt like that energy. So, a very, very beautiful book. So then we have a book that I grew up on, and I won't spend too long because this video is already 36 minutes or longer. Rainbow Boys by Alex Sanchez. This is a book when I was in middle school. They had it on my shelf, middle and high school. I was 8th grade, I think. And in the margins, in the back of the book, on the boards and stuff, there were so many people who I hadn't realized, and they had been writing it since the book was published years ago when the library got it. And they had been writing messages about, like, if you're gay, hold on, you'll leave this place. It's okay to be who you are. Or just people just secretly be like, I'm afraid to tell my parents that I like girls, and things like that. The book was sort of a diary for those of us in the school who, even anonymously, just wanted to know there are other people out there like us. Even if we didn't know each other, we wanted to know we existed. And the book was really beautiful that way. But the story itself, the actual book, is stunning. The book is 3 boys who are just sort of navigating life. That's it. They're just 3 guys. And yes, the cover does have Matt Bomer. That was one of his first modeling gigs. Very funny. And he hates, apparently, to talk about it, because that was like the early days of modeling and stuff, which is, yeah, but really good book. And it means a lot to me. So. And then we have Swimming in the Dark. And this is a book that really surprised me. This is going to sound so pretentious, so bear with me. This feels like an A24 film in book form. It's 2 guys who are, once again, it's a war story, and they're in Europe. And if you think it was bad in America, it was worse in Europe. Look up the Pink Triangle in World War II, what that meant. Yeah. So, very dangerous time, and they sort of have like a secret rendezvous. It almost feels like fellow travelers. It's a romance, but it's not really a love story. It's not a love story at all. So yeah, kind of tragic in its own way. And I can't really tell you much more than that because it's very short. It's a very short book, less than 200 pages. So if you're going to read it, you're going to have to read it going in blind. So then we have a very fun one. Ooh. Murder in the Dressing Room. This is let me just bullet point it for you. It's a drag queen story written by a drag queen. Feeling like a drag queen murder mystery brunch. That's what it feels like. It is such a fun story. This has Misty Devine, the drag queen by night, detective by day, who is solving the unaliving of her drag mother. So, and there's a sequel that's coming out next month, I believe, and I have not yet read it because I couldn't get my hands on an ARC, but I'm so gonna get it as soon as it comes out. It's so cool, and it's so fun to see the drag scene of London, because I'm used to American drag scene. I watch Drag Race. I've been to a few drag shows, Drag Race Bingo, Drag Queen Bingo and stuff. But I don't know much about London, and this really tackles that, so it's really cool. But yeah, it's a run-of-the-mill sort of cozy mystery. It's nothing too harsh, nothing too extreme. It's a coffee table kind of mystery, something like Agatha Christie, but a lot more lighthearted. So. Then we have What If It's Us? Oh my god, this book. I love this book, okay? There is a sequel that I did not read and I will not read, and that is all I will say about that. I think it's very brave to write a love story that's unconventional, but Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera, it's on site, okay? It's on site. This broke me, and it was beautiful at the same time. This is 2 boys in New York one lives there, one's on an internship, and in a post office they bump into each other, and then the one wants to meet again. So it's sort of a misconnection story. and it's beautiful. And there's a lot of fun theater references, and Hamilton and Dear Evan Hansen and stuff, because the title, of course, What If It Says, is Dear Evan Hansen's song. Terrible plot, by the way, that play, just what the heck, but beautiful music. So, yeah, and it's just a gorgeous story. But the authors, it's on site. Then we have one that I struggled whether I should put this on the list or not, but I feel like, for me, it's a really beautiful story. And this is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And I know what you're thinking. A woman named Evelyn Hugo, she had 7 husbands. Sounds like Liz Taylor. Well, Liz Taylor is iconic. I love Elizabeth Taylor, okay? This is not about Elizabeth Taylor. This is about Evelyn Hugo, a fictional movie star. And she's chronicling her life from her first days in Hollywood until her last days, when she's a sort of just recluse widow, I suppose you would say. And how most old Hollywood starlets sort of turned into themselves after a while and stayed inside and away from the spotlight to retire. And there is, I don't know if it's in the back of the book or not, if it's a spoiler, I don't care. Okay, it's queer representation. She's in love with a woman. Yeah, it's a beautiful story. It's tragic, young Hollywood. Of course, we know now there are many, Hollywood starlets that were gay. I mean, Montgomery Clift and Tab Hunter and Marlon Brando even was bisexual, and there was evidence in his memoirs and stuff, and he admitted it. But it was difficult back then to be open. It was dangerous, very dangerous. So the book just sort of tackles with that, because we think of being gay in the 40s and 50s, and we think gay men were prosecuted, and women were the same way. Gay women were also targeted. The FBI was looking into these people for no good reason, just for being gay. But yeah, they were just as much as a target as anybody else. So, and then the last book I have to talk to you about is a memoir that I have read one time, will not read again, and I will not watch the movie. That is Boy Erased. And this is one that I thought, I have to put a memoir in this list. This is the one I'm going to use. This is about a boy who, as a teenager growing up in the Christian faith, is thrown into conversion therapy by his family. And I'm not going to talk about that on here, but if you want to look into the horrors of conversion therapy, be my guest. And understand that's why it needs to be banned. And this book talks about that, and this book is very difficult to read. The things that are talked about are gut-wrenching, heartbreaking. But there's so much hope in it too. And it really is a testament to, you think you can throw somebody into conversion therapy and they're fixed, Either they're going to pretend, they're going to be depressed by faking it, or it's going to do nothing. There's a quote in the trailer, because I have watched the trailer for the movie, but I won't watch the movie, where Troye Sivan, who's in it, tells our lead, he says, if you think you can change, but if not, just fake it until they let you go. And that's the dangerous and horrific reality for some people. That's just how they have to live. So, a beautiful story. But, yeah, those are my recommendations. Sorry, this is kind of a long video. If you're still awake, with me. Hi. Thank you so much for watching, though. Celebrate Pride this month more than ever. And just remember, no matter what, you're beautiful, you're wonderful, and you're loved.